What's up, guys? It's Benny. Jimmy Carter, the longest living, oldest U.S. president, has passed away this afternoon at the age of 100. He had spent 2 years in hospice care, so this wasn't necessarily a massive surprise. However, we want to demonstrate something very important, that we are not animals. We are not orcs. The differences between us and the left is that we won't celebrate this death, unlike the left that cheers in the streets and literally throws parades whenever one of the people they disagree with passes on and dies. We certainly won't do that. The left, which wished for the death of Donald Trump time and time again, that celebrate people like Luigi Mangione. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what makes us different. Even though I vehemently disagree with Jimmy Carter, I believe he's probably the worst president of our lifetimes, maybe surpassed by Joe Biden, if for one reason. Jimmy Carter, for all of his faults, and his presidency was atrocious, at least he was a Christian and he lived out those values. He didn't enrich himself by plundering the U.S. Treasury and minting a bunch of corrupt deals for his family members. Jimmy Carter lived in poverty before the presidency and afterwards, practically. He lived in a teeny little home and like a sharecropper's lot, and then built homes for Habitat for Humanity the entire rest of his life until he was effectively interned in hospice care. So Jimmy Carter, at the very least, didn't follow through the modern era of political corruption, engorging and enriching your family off of forever wars and the taxpayer coffers. And so if for only that reason, he's much, much better than Joe Biden. But nonetheless, we're not going to sit there and celebrate this. However, we will sit there and wonder at photos like this. This is the most recent photo of Jimmy Carter and Joe Biden, and it makes no sense. I just want to state this as a historic fact. It makes no sense. Like, exactly how small were these people? Not trying to be rude here. I'm trying to speak ill of the dead, as they say. But like, Joe Biden and Joe Biden are not that big, and they look monster. They look massive. They look like the Lollipop Guild here. This is the Munchkin Land. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, one thing I won't forgive, if I'm to speak something nice of Jimmy Carter, I've said my piece. However, I still have plenty of ammo in the can and gunpowder that is dry for the people that used Jimmy Carter when he was in effectively a corpse-like state at the very end of his life, where he couldn't speak, he could barely blink, he couldn't move, as many people are in hospice who are 100 years old. The Kamala campaign literally rolled him out to use him as a political prop, which is completely and totally sick. Reminder that Jimmy Carter's body was rolled out to vote for Kamala because it was his last wish. Little strange here, but yeah, ladies and gentlemen, here it is. This is the video of Jimmy Carter voting for Kamala, I guess demonstrating how corrupt our system is and how corrupt our elections are. Jimmy Carter, who there is, showing no signs of senility at all, mouth agape. I'm not knocking the guy. This is just what you look like in hospice care. I've had family in hospice care. This is Jimmy Carter, that's what hospice is. Hospice is just saying, okay, we're waiting for you to go to the great beyond. There you go. This is Jimmy Carter. This is a perfect image. This is the image that's famous. This is Jimmy Carter voting for Kamala. It shows you how much fraud there is actually in the system. And Kamala Harris had the audacity and the demonic energy to say something.
Oh, look, if Jimmy Carter can vote early, you can too. So look, if Jimmy Carter can vote early, you can too.
These people are demons. They're demons. Incantation, ladies and gentlemen.
Something titled, "Why is Joe Biden so unpopular?" Andrew Romano writes that at this point in his term, Joe Biden is the second most unpopular president in modern U.S. history. Jimmy Carter was the first. Romano cites polling data from 538, where Biden's approval rating 910 days into his term stood at just 39%.
Okay, well, there you go. What a parting gift here from the Democrat Party. Literally using Jimmy Carter's barely warm body to vote for Kamala Harris as a campaign prop. Jimmy Carter voted for Kamala Harris this week. Yeah, got it. What a perfect crystallization of the Democrat Party that actually used Joe Biden's barely mobile brain and body that now we're learning so much about, now that everybody's effectively leaking like a submarine from the Iraqi Navy. Everyone's saying, hey, Jimmy Carter Jimmy Carter and Joe Biden, neither of them were with it. All of the Joe Biden White House people are now leaking to the press saying there's nothing. This guy had literally nothing going on upstairs. Very scared. Donald Trump talking about Jimmy Carter on the campaign trail.
Carter, I know a lot of you think that he wasn't a great president, but actually compared to Biden, he was one of the greatest presidents. The happiest person on earth right now is Jimmy Carter, because he said, darling, I'm no longer a bad president, because compared to this guy.
Yeah, compared to this guy. Jimmy Carter lived long enough to see somebody becoming even worse president than he was, Joe Biden. Many saddened by the news of Jimmy Carter's death, but Democrats should rejoice in the fact that he will continue voting Democrat in every major election into eternity. Well, they've proven that, right? Melania Trump sitting beside the Bidens, Clintons, Obamas at Carter's memorial service. And you can see Jimmy Carter right here. And, listen, it is what it is when you're 100 years old and you're in hospice care. You're just in a bad state. It just is what it is. They trotted him out as a campaign prop. Anyway, to show the absolute and total decency of Donald Trump, who did name drop Jimmy Carter for giving away the Panama Canal, one of the reasons why, of course, I'm happy to tell you that I think he's one of the all-time worst presidents in American history. Not in my lifetime. I wasn't alive when Jimmy Carter was president, okay? I was, born in the 80s. But I'll tell you this, the absolute decency of Donald Trump on display here. And, Donald Trump, who has the absolute capacity to be such a gentleman. I just heard the news about the passing of Jimmy Carter. Those of us who were fortunate enough to have served as president understand this very exclusive club. And we only can relate to the enormous responsibility of leading the greatest nation in history. The challenges Jimmy faced as president came at a pivotal time for our country, and he did everything in his power to improve the lives of Americans. For that, we owe him a debt of gratitude. Melania and I are thinking warmly of the Carter family and their loved ones during his difficult time. We urge everybody to keep them in their hearts and your prayers. This is Donald Trump saying about Jimmy Carter, an absolute, G of a statement, a complete class, totally honorable. Donald Trump, who, of course, has used Jimmy Carter as a bit of a pincushion. At the very least, this is more honorable than what the Democrat Party did, which was to use his barely warm corpse as electioneering gimmick, right, for people. It's hard to watch, honestly.
Vote early, you can too.
Imagine seeing your relative used.
So look, if Jimmy Carter can vote early, you can too.
This is what separates us, ladies and gentlemen, from the orcs. It was what separates us from the people who celebrate the demise of their political enemies, or they did this with what's a good example? Like Ronald Reagan, right? Margaret Thatcher. The left in England and the left here in America, they went out and celebrated in the streets. No. They just sat there and thought long and hard about something nice I could say about Jimmy Carter, and that's it. There's no Jimmy Carter crime family, right? There's no Biden crime family. There's no Hunter Biden in Jimmy Carter's family. Okay, there's just these evil monsters that used him at the very end of his life. And for that, they deserve scorn. I don't think Jimmy Carter, frankly, had any say in the matter. Anyway, a complete gentleman as president, Donald Trump. Prayers for the Carter family. And ladies and gentlemen, the passing of the torch happens now.